Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for joining me and Briana today. Today we have Briana Nasman. She is joining us from Seattle, and she is one of our valued ROI Inner Circle members. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Pretty good. I heard your birthday was on Monday, right?
There was, yep, the
Happy
big
belated,
26.
happy belated birthday. Did you do anything fun?
Went to an escape room, which is like my jam. So I know I'm a nerd, but I love them.
That's awesome. Did you make it out in time?
Oh, we were like 2 minutes away from figuring it out. It was so frustrating. We almost got it. I'll have to go back
Oh
and do it again.
no. Well, it's awesome that you didn't actually get stuck though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But I guess that plays into some of your strengths, though, like figuring out different puzzles. You've had a lot of success in niche projects within real estate, figuring out how to make different projects work. So we'd love to dive into that today. Could
Um,
you give us a background on how you got started in real estate investing?
Yeah, to make a long story short, I was in college getting my psychology degree, and at the time I was working three part-time jobs, trying to make ends meet and all that fun stuff. And over winter break, I was like, oh, I have all this free time now. I'm not in school. Just have my free jobs. And so I decided to get my real estate license. I don't really know what prompted that. I just decided to. And I like completely fell in love with real estate and got my license, and then was able to eventually drop two of the jobs, and I kept one for a while, but then dropped that one as well, and then got was in it full time. I bought my first investment property. I think that's what kind of I was just looking on the MLS for a client. I think I cold called someone, and he was looking for an investment, so I was looking for him. He almost bought that deal, but I ended up buying it with my dad, and it was the halfway house that I still have today. That was in 2017. So yeah, that's how I got started.
Did you end up finishing your degree?
No, I dropped out. I have, and at this point, I don't really see any reason to finish it. So yeah.
So you had been working on your psychology degree, but then you fell in love with real estate, and now it's your whole life.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I was going to be a clinical psychologist. I wanted to get a PhD in clinical psych, which I'm really glad I didn't, because as much as I love research and that sort of stuff, it would have been not the right fit for me. So very happy with my choices.
That's awesome. What has been your favorite thing about working in real estate?
Oh, it's always something different. It really keeps me on my toes. Even if I plan like a schedule, I might get like 14 calls from random different things and have like 14 fires to put out that day, which I know is like not that like good. I guess it's like stressful, but it's fun. I don't know. It keeps me on my toes. I have to use my brain a lot, and I can do it all like in my pajamas for the most part, with some exceptions. So yeah, I love everything about it.
That's awesome. And you mentioned that you still have the halfway house that you started with.
Yeah, I do. And I should also mention that I'm not a passive investor for the most part. So if you're looking to get into real estate and you want to do the traditional passive investment model, my story of putting out 14 fires a day is not probably going to be yours. But I love that. So I'm happy with it.
That's awesome. Yeah. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And if anyone has any questions for us, feel free to put them in the chat and we can answer them. But Brianna, I would like to dive into some of the different projects that you've had because you mentioned being a more active investor and putting out fires all the time. So, what are some of the projects that you've taken on?
So right now, I am very, very close to being finished with two luxury spec houses over in Suncadia and Cleveland, Central Washington. One of them I pre-sold in February, and that one should hopefully close on Friday or Monday. We're like at the end, whatever degree to try to get it finished. The other one is probably a couple weeks out, but getting close to. I have a flip, another luxury flip, I guess, in Alabama, actually, on like right on the Gulf Coast in a really cute town called Fairhope. That's been fun. Doing a flip, from here. I've been there one time to visit it when I closed and closed in person. I mean, flips are always unexpected, so it's been fun. I like designing a lot, so that's kind of my creative outlet. So I design all my own projects, and have it's a very different design style than the houses I have in the mountain community of Suncadia. So that's yeah. And then I have the halfway house, and I'm closing on a construction company, residential remodeling, like kitchens and bathrooms. I think it's supposed to be the 30th, but it might get pushed to first week of July. Just got my GC license yesterday, so that's exciting. It's like Yay. And then I sell houses, of course, too. So I primarily just, I'm more of like a friends and family sort of thing at this point in my own deals. But um, yeah, keeps me busy.
Congrats on all that success.
Thank you.
You're going to be moving into one of the spec homes too, right?
No, not well, kind of. I'm trying to keep it as an Airbnb. I think I'll be able to keep it as an Airbnb and like live there part
Mm-hmm.
time. Yeah.
That's awesome. And what is the role you'll take with the construction company or the remodel company?
Yeah, so I'll be the GC, I guess, legally, and then I'm just going to be the owner. So I will have a GM kind of be on site, and then I have got 12 staff, so six out in the field and six in the office. So they handle pretty much the day-to-day operations. I will just be kind of running everything
Mm-hmm. That's
with
awesome.
the help of a GM.
And then when did you join the ROI Inner Circle community?
Little over a month or a year ago. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
And how has that helped you with these projects and goals that you have?
Really great. I will be more than exceeding my goals in a different way than I expected, which is awesome because I'd originally set probably a similar goal to many people of 10K a month in cash flow, and I wanted to buy an apartment complex. And kind of as I've last year, I've kind of really found my passions and like what I love doing, and been more okay with not doing like the traditional real estate investor path and like just looking for cash flow. So between the business and a couple other things, like I'll easily accomplish that, and I love what I do. I sure didn't buy an apartment building, and I don't really want to buy an apartment building anymore. But I wouldn't be where I am now without the AROI group. Sorry, because that was what started the whole Alabama thing, and that was kind of cool. So I certainly would have never ever picked that market had I not found out about it from the group. And there's a lot of other cool markets too that I've been looking at. Again, it's not like totally my focus right now, but it will be at some point. So yeah, it's given me a lot of confidence, and like having a network in those markets has been like really fantastic. I mean, I just would never have done this without it. So yeah.
Right. It's really helpful to not need to find new agents in these different markets and
Yeah,
to have a community of investors that have also been in that area and can share their experiences.
yeah,
And
yeah. It helps me find my GC, and like he goes to the project for me, and he's just great. I mean, between the two of them, I feel really well taken care of. And if I didn't have this network of people and community and stuff, I wouldn't feel comfortable with flipping out of state.
yeah, what I also really like is that even though a lot of the investors are more buy and hold investors, we do have people like yourself who have a variety of experiences. And if anyone has a question, people are always willing to help and share what they can to help you through the issues and struggles you're working with.
Yeah, absolutely. I was almost about to buy a deal in Alabama that I didn't end up buying, but it was a pretty big deal, and I had a few partners that I found through the group lined up, and we were ready to go on it. We ended up not buying it because I went through feasibility, and it just wasn't going to work. But it was really cool to have that network of people that like I could kind of verify and be like, yeah, we could partner on this together.
Yeah, that's awesome. You were able to develop some partnerships.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you'll still try to work together in the future?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we still talk occasionally. So definitely kind of still looking as we find stuff, kind of reaching out to them and whatnot.
What kind of fears did you have with investing in general or investing out of state?
Oh man, so many. Yeah, I kind of reached a point of no fear fairly recently, but I was always really really scared and would overanalyze everything to death and then not move on it. So I was like that for a long time, like years, and kind of decided to um, just not be that way anymore. I don't know how else to describe it really. So, I bought the spec houses and the Alabama thing, and it's just sort of like, well, we're gonna try it. And like at this point I know if it doesn't work the way I think it's gonna work. Like I think a lot of this came out of I owned a wedding during the pandemic, and I opened it like 2 months before the pandemic hit. So I really like hit that bottom of like, this is terrible. I have no money. I don't know how to do this. I'm so incredibly stressed. I can't handle it. And like everything has gone wrong. I had a sewer line break in the middle of the wedding. Like it had to do an emergency replacement. I mean, like everything, the house was like always falling apart somewhere. It was just a nightmare. It was horrible. So, and I found out I really don't like weddings. So that didn't help either. But I hit that point of like, this is horrible. I just remember sitting on the concrete in the venue and just being like, I hate this. I hate everything about my life right now. And that just was enough for me to be like, well, I've reached like the most stressful thing ever, which is a pandemic and burst sewer lines in the middle of weddings and like people yelling at me and just everything going wrong. And I got a bunch of letters threatening to sue me and stuff. And it was fine. I worked it out. And so that's given me the confidence to be like, yeah, it's fine. Everything's gonna be okay. It can suck, but I can get through it.
What had helped you through that struggle?
I think looking at the bigger picture, um, just knowing that like this wasn't for me, even if this didn't went horribly wrong, I would always find a solution and tackling each little problem as its own problem and not just like it's so easy to just put little stressors into this bucket of overwhelm and like dump it on yourself and that's everyone does that because that's just how we're wired, but you have to kind of try to like put a filter on it and pick the pieces that you can control and the things you can do first and do those things first, and then as you kind of work through that it gets a little easier to manage. So that I think, um, and yeah, just having gone through crap before and knowing I can get through it. So yeah.
Those are great points. I feel like that's also really relevant to the market right now as well. Like a lot of people are worried about how the market is going to turn out, but you just tackle what you can, do what you can, and make sure you analyze the deals with multiple exit strategies.
Yes, and focus on the numbers because it is so easy to get into this fear of like everything's going to come crashing down on us. And that might be true. It might not be true. I'm not going to pretend to be a market expert and know what's going to happen or psychic. But but if you're doing really good deals that are going to make money, you have to run like when I bought the Alabama flip. I didn't just look at something that was going to make money if I sold it in the right timeline or sold it with the market continuing to appreciate or sold it without any change to the market. I looked at something that like, okay, the market could fall 30-40% and I could still make some money on this. And I know it's hard to find deals like that, but it's certainly not impossible. And you just have to kind of be creative and not let yourself panic.
Yeah, and also be in markets that make sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
We do have a question from the audience. What is your bread and butter and which investment has worked well for you so far?
Bread and butter. I'd say like niche projects that are weird or don't make sense for other people, which is not really bread and butter, but that's kind of how it is for me. I have a really good knack at finding opportunity in places that have been overlooked, I guess. So everything I've found has been available to everyone to buy. It's not something I send out letters for or just knew the right person or anything like that. I just asked the right questions and looked at it in as many different ways as I could. All my deals are on the market. The Suncadia houses I have, those lots, I got them for an absolute song. And the reason is because they were available to everyone, but the developer forgot. They had moved on to a different phase of the development and they forgot that those two were still for sale. So when I was like, hey, what's up with these two lots? They still have a for sale sign on them. The agent's like, no, 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 they're sold, they're sold. And I'm like, well, can you just double check? Like, they still have a for sale sign on them. So again, it's just having connection.
Right, that's awesome.
Hang on, I'm gonna switch. There we go. That's why.
Awesome. So you just turned 26 on Monday, and you have your current halfway house. You're working on. Oh, I lost you for a moment.
Okay, we're back.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I was on the Wi-Fi and it like dropped me. Sorry about that. Anyway,
No worries.
that was the original question. I got on a tangent again, but yeah, weird deals that are fun.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have fun with it. If not, you're just,
Yeah.
it's not worth it.
Oh, totally.
So you turned 26 on Monday. You currently are holding on to a halfway house, which you'll be presenting to our members about just next month, which I'm super excited about that call to learn more about that. You've had a wedding company. You're closing on a remodel company soon and finishing 2 spec homes. That's quite an incredible feat for just 26. And you're doing all of this with a 3.5-year-old daughter, right?
Yes.
Incredible role model.
Thank you. Yeah,
How do
it's
you
important to me that she sees someone who, I'm not just mom or I'm not just some lady who takes care of her, but I'm someone who's doing my own thing as well. And I don't want her to I don't want her to grow up and think like, I can't, if I have kids at the end of my life, or I can't go and do these things I want to do because I'm a mom now, or I want to have kids someday or whatever. Like, I just want her to know she can do anything she wants.
how do you balance your time during the day?
It's like often very chaotic. So I try to be like when I am with her, I try to be present, so that I don't feel as guilty when I have a meeting and she needs to watch her tablet or something. So I have a variety of childcare. She goes to preschool in the mornings, 3 mornings a week. Actually, not for the summer, but usually 3 mornings a week she's in preschool for a couple hours, and so I'm able to get kind of my like, focus work done then. And then I usually will take not as important meetings with her, just like playing or something, because she can come in those and whatever, and she's pretty good at playing. Then we usually go to the park during the day, or I make her lunch and stuff. And then sometimes I'll have we have a couple babysitters that are occasional. Right now, my mom's actually watching her. My sister watches her often, so I have a variety of things that I've kind of like put patchwork together, and it works. And despite how much I have going on, I'm actually not. I don't feel like I'm that busy. I've been really, 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 really busy before, and this is like a really nice workload for me. So that might change once I close another study, but I'm trying not to let that happen.
It's nice that you have so much help around.
Yeah, absolutely. It is nice being near family.
You're going to be closing on your businesses soon, so do you have any other plans in mind, goals for the rest of the year, or just getting all that stabilized?
Yeah, so it's a stable business. I'm not buying something that needs like a turnover or anything. I kind of learned my lesson with the wedding venue as how much work. Like I bought a venue that was needed a lot of work, and so it was really fun to do that, but it was also really stressful and really really hard when the pandemic happened. So I don't want to do another startup or something like that. I love that I'm buying a turnkey business that is profitable from day one. And that is, I'm not changing a damn thing until I figure out how it runs, and then I can kind of see how I can improve it. And there's some really easy solutions to that. Like the current owner uses Google Sheets for every single thing, and I love Google Sheets, but like that is not a good client management system. It's just not. So that's something I can really easily make a change there. He doesn't do any social media marketing. I can really easily do that, or hire someone to do that rather. So yeah, I will be making little tweaks when I acquire ownership, but I'm not planning on changing very much for the foreseeable future.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
So, if you were to start over, what would you do differently?
That is a great question. I think the biggest thing I can say is like I really I overanalyzed a lot initially, and I'm not gonna say like I regret anything because I think everything I've done has kind of brought me to the place I am now. But I do think that just being like so afraid and not jumping in when I could have, and when I knew I didn't feel like I knew enough, but I knew more than a lot of people did, and I could have bought something really simple, but I didn't. And I bought the halfway house, which was a really great investment, and I bought that before I actually knew anything. So that was kind of funny because then once I started learning about stuff, I got too scared. So I knew, too much to not be afraid anymore. And I wish I just continued buying more stuff because like 2017, we all thought it was crazy a market, but like no, like compared to now, I could have, appreciation has been insane since then. So yeah, wish I bought more.
Yeah, I love that Jennifer's always saying, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, just get it under contract and then get into the details, figure it out then.
Is you don't have to do all your due diligence before you get under contract. And a lot of times I would go hyper analyze stuff and figure out everything and call the county and blah, 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 blah. And then it would go under contract and I didn't even have the opportunity. And that was just fear, hoping that I'd have an excuse to not buy it. But getting it under contract and then doing your due diligence, you're kind of mentally committing yourself. And don't buy it if it's not the right deal or it's not a good deal. But you sometimes you just need that little push that's holding over you to be like, oh, it'd be kind of a pain in the ass to get out of this. So maybe I'll just try to see how it's gonna work and see like why I don't want to buy it. If it's a real reason, great, don't buy it. But a lot of times it's not.
Awesome. It seems like you're getting a lot of love from the group. People love that you're such an inspiration and you're really motivating. We had another question. What's the most difficult thing you've encountered and how did you overcome it?
Oof. So the halfway house I bought in 2017 actually had a condemned basement. So I had to fight. It had a cloud on the title when we bought it, which we got temporarily lifted so we could close on it. And it was really challenging. I didn't know how to hire contractors. I didn't know anything about anything, and so we got a bid from the owner's friend's company, I guess, and he was like, "Oh, all we have to do to get this up to code is create two window wells, and we're good. Sweet, it'll be 14 grand. Awesome." So we thought that's no problem. Well, it actually ended up being like a full gut. We had to do a ton of stuff, and the window wells, and sub pumps and a bunch of other stuff. But the main problem was I didn't know how to hire anyone, and so I interviewed these contractors, and I got three of them. Got two pretty good bids. I got one really expensive bid and one really cheap bid. And I was thinking about it, and I show up one day, and the cheapest bid guy, is there working. And I'm like, huh. Well, I didn't think we'd hired him, but I guess we did. Like he thinks we hired him, and he's already working, so sure. Well, funny enough, he gave me the license number for a company that had almost the exact same name as his, but not quite. And he had had his license suspended. He had, been accused or convicted of fraud. Like, did not have a license, bond insurance, nothing. He was hiring like random people who like lived out of their car, and like I don't think he was paying them because I got some liens after that, and it was like truly a nightmare. Like it was probably the worst construction experience ever. So that went like 6 months, and then, finally my dad, who was the co-owner, stepped in and he's like, what's going on with this? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like they're still there working all the time and blah, blah. My tenant started telling me who are upstairs, hey, he's selling meth. Like he's doing meth. He's got needles in his jacket, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no way, no way. He's dumb little me. I'm like 19 years old. And well, sure enough, like they're fucking doing, excuse me, my language. They were doing that. They were doing drugs and trying to sell drugs to our tenants, and it was a real mess. So we finally got him kicked out. We tried to press charges, but ultimately, like there was really nothing to go after, so it kind of just wasn't really worth the time, I think. And we ended up hiring a real contractor to redo everything, and it was horrible. Not gonna lie, it was like an 18-month reno. Way more expensive than it should have been. Total nightmare, but we got through it. I don't know how. I just one day at a time.
One foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
That is insane, though.
I know.
It's
This thing
such
ended
a
up
chart.
suing me. I had to like go to court, and like I was like barely pregnant, so I started like crying. It was horrible. This one guy, the inspector guy, is like, I don't think women should be in this business. Blah 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 blah. I'm just like, oh. So anyway, real fun stuff. But hey, it's all good now.
Yeah, so the second part of that question, how did you overcome it? So you just figured it out, and the numbers still make sense enough that you're holding on to the property.
Oh yeah, it ended up, as painful as that deal was, as big of a learning lesson as it was, it has made itself absolutely worth it, and I've re-leveraged it multiple times. I leveraged it first to buy the wedding venue, and I leveraged it again to buy the Suncadia lot, and I would not be where I am without that. So it was definitely worth it, but it sucked.
That's awesome. I can't wait to do a deeper dive into that property in our member call next month. Super appreciate having you on today. If anyone has any questions, we would love to see you in the inner circle. Feel free to drop any follow-up questions in the comments. Briana is in the Facebook group and is an ROI Inner Circle member. We'd love for you to join our community. We have investors like herself who are always willing to help answer any questions you have or work through any problems or give you insights on how to vet contractors. Again, thank you so much for your time today. Happy belated birthday. I hope everyone has a great rest of your week and a fantastic weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us.